Good evening, BDRP land. This is your host, D-Doss. It is my great pleasure and privilege and honor to be joined by a good friend of mine, Mr. Leighton Longwalker, and his son, Leighton Shortwalker. This young man is going to tell us about the sighting that he had at only 12 years old. I know a lot of grown men who, if they would have seen the same thing, they definitely would not have handled it with the poise and maturity that this young man has. So without further ado, Mr. Longwalker and Mr. Shortwalker, how are you this evening?
Doing okay.
Hey, D. Pleasure to be on. Thank you so much.
Pleasure to have you on, sir. Jumping right into it, why don't we tell them from the beginning, how was your... We'll just build it up for us. Okay, you're at a national park, correct?
Well, it's not really a national park. It's just like
It's
like
local.
it's like a local park
Local
where
park.
you can just hike and
I
stuff.
got you.
And there's like horse trails and stuff. So, do you want to like start from the very beginning or?
Absolutely.
Okay, so me and my dad and my sister were driving up to go on a hike, and kind of went there like after dinner, and it was in the summer, so it was kind of like where the day stays out a little longer.
Yeah.
So when we got there, it was still light, and we just went on a normal hike, explored, and did all these fun stuff. And
So
then,
this is on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail. It stretches for quite a ways. It goes through Layton, goes to a lot of other cities.
and it's pretty big. So it was getting really late at night, and we wanted to head back. It was like
About 10 o'clock.
about 10, and we were coming back, and I was running down this hill. Like, I wouldn't call it a hill, but it's like a descent, and it's pretty fun to run down. So
Yeah.
I was running down it, and I got to this split where it goes high up, where we came into the exit/entrance to the place. And I stopped there, and next to I wouldn't say in the split
With a fork in the road.
or the fork.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say the middle of the fork in the road. I'd say like to the far side of where the big hill would go up, and the exit/entrance would be a big blackish brownish. I couldn't really tell because it was pretty dark. The only light there was the big moon shining.
Yeah.
So it was like brownish blackish, and it felt like forever, but it was only like 3 seconds that I saw this thing. It looked at me, and it was about the size as my dad, just a little taller. Like, I would say 7 foot or 7.5 foot.
Oh, wow.
So I'd call it like a teenager, I guess. Like, not fully adult, but
Right. Teenagers get most people I've talked to, and from what I've seen, are between 6 and 7 feet tall, which sounds crazy. Was it very thin? I forgot to ask you this earlier. Or was it wide?
it was thin, I guess. Like, couldn't really tell. Like, it was, I mean, like, I guess you could call it thin.
I guess if you don't, it's your first and only sighting, so what would you have to compare it to? It's a terrible question, D. You're a terrible host.
Well, I was about 40 feet behind him, and he screamed. And I had my little one on my shoulders, so I couldn't. I was trying to get there as fast as I could. I didn't see it, but I heard it. And we've got these little trees called scrub oaks, and it definitely felt like it sounded like a bulldozer going through the trees. I've never heard anything like that before, but I was more adrenaline filled because he screamed for me. I thought something really bad had happened.
Right.
Yeah, so what going back to where right after those 3 seconds or so, it just booked it. It booked it down into these like tree/bushes, and it just like you could hear like a like it wouldn't like you could hear like trees like I don't know how to explain the sound. It was like really loud, but it's like if you were walking through a bush or a tree, if that makes sense.
If you're walking through where there's a bunch of foliage or bushes, I got you. So it's just barreling through through these trees.
Away from, I guess, me as fast as possible.
And you know, last time we talked, I thought about it afterwards. I bet you two were doing the same things, probably getting a little bit of too far ahead of mom and dad, or in your case, that your dad there, and you know that one was probably doing the same thing. Dad probably told him, "Hey, slow down a little bit. There's a human trail up there."
Yeah, I bet you're right.
Then then y'all both run into what you didn't expect.
Oh man.
Yeah, and we have a. Well, I'm not going to advertise this.
What?
We have a video about it. So.
Well, of course you're gonna advertise it. You can find this video on here. I'm bad at this, so I'm gonna do it right now as we talk. Leighton Longwalker's channel.
Yeah,
that's right.
See, he and his son. But I'm sorry, but please continue. You're not gonna advertise it. Come on now, that's why you're here. People want to hear your experience and your further adventures. I do.
Yeah.
So, as it was going through that big scrub/bush, I don't know what to call it.
With scrub oak.
Scrub oak, yeah, that's called it. And I screamed for help because I didn't know what this thing was. I didn't know what I was gonna like. I didn't understand what it was until my dad showed me what he thought. So basically, I was screaming for help. My dad came as fast as possible, and he's like, "What was it? What was it?" And I'm like, "It looked like a bear, but it wasn't."
Yeah, that's the greatest description of all. It looked like a bear, but it wasn't.
And he's like, "Is there any footprints? What's going on?"
That's right.
So my dad like put my sister down and was looking around, and he saw like something shaped as a footprint because it was like dusty, like the trails were dusty, like so you could kind of see the footprint there, but it wasn't like clear enough because it was pretty dark out. And then there was some people coming, so we kind of like we didn't want to like. It was like 2 horses coming down the trail with 2 people riding them, and we didn't want to get in their way, so we started leaving. My dad came back the next day, and I don't know what happened or what he saw because I was at school.
Yeah, the footprints were gone. From what I could see, they were gone from where I saw them the night before. And of course, I didn't have a flashlight with me, so.
Isn't that always the way?
Absolutely. I wish you had hindsight.
Right. Always missing the one thing you need to get a better understanding of what's taking place. But I mean, it really does sound like you are a brave young man because, like I said at the beginning of the show, I know a lot of adults who wouldn't have handled themselves with such poise under that stressful of a situation.
Well, thank you.
You are very welcome. So you told me something very interesting when I asked you, did you want to further investigate? Because you have gone with your dad to kind of look for tracks and whatnot. But
Yeah.
you were saying something that you've noticed in some of the adults who follow the Bigfoot thing.
Yeah. I've noticed that most of them like dedicate their lives to Bigfoot.
Right.
Like they don't pay attention to their family or God or the Bible or anything like that. They just it's basically an idol. You gotta control them.
I agree wholeheartedly, and that's something that I noticed a long time ago. Honestly, it's something that I noticed that I was almost falling into, and that's wisdom, vast wisdom for someone your age. Like I said, I got 10 tons of respect and admiration for you because that's something that, even me as a 30 some odd year old man didn't realize until I was right there at the cusp of it. This can very much become sort of an idol god, when you put aside anything of importance in your life, especially God and your family, that's when you know it's a problem. And I believe that it's I don't want to say it's designed to be that way, but you can fall into that trap very easily if you're not careful.
Yeah. I'm not gonna say names, but I've seen some channels.
No, please say names, sure. As long as they're not DDoS, one of those names, I'm fine.
Oh no, it could never be DDoS ever. No. Well, so I mean, I wanted to make sure he wasn't. I wanted to make sure he wasn't, pulling my leg, and he was so sincere, and I could tell, and so that kind of got me looking around locally here in Utah.
Well, whoa! At first, you kind of didn't believe.
Well, yeah, at first I didn't. I will say that. First I didn't, but then I wanted to. We had a sincere one-on-one, and I believed him, and so that kind of inspired me to try and look around locally to see if there's any local researchers, and finding all kinds of different like folklore and stuff. I live in Utah. We're in Utah, and finding out that the LDS people have quite a bit of mythos surrounding this creature, and they thought that one of the stories I came across was they believed that like when the flood occurred, the Bigfoot is actually Cain, and Cain kind of like somehow was able to hang on to the ark in some manner, like all.
I've heard that before too.
Yes, I don't know if they think that there's just one Bigfoot that's Cain walking around leaving footprints.
Right. Yeah, Cain somehow cloned himself.
That's right. So that was interesting. And then, I found a local researcher, tried to get involved. And this guy only lives about 10 minutes away from us, but never did find a really personal connection or that same kind of like, I want to be, let's go out and let's look for these things. So it just done a really good, I don't know, maybe spiritual connection or bond was there. And I kind of like did what I could and just not just focus on my son. And I like look into Bigfoot, and
right.
And that's how we came across you, man. So
awesome. Which is more awesome. I mean, a father and son team, you know what I mean? Like, and I understand you have to have a some sort of a bond with the person you go out into the field with, or it just doesn't work. I've done it both ways. Gone out into the field, with somebody who I trusted wholeheartedly to have my back, but we just didn't have we just didn't click that way. We didn't have the same ideas about the research, to which I'm pretty much catch as catch can. I accept what I see, what I investigate, and what I find through my investigations. But when you're in the field and you want to have crazy debates about what's going on outside the field in a community, that dog just don't hunt. But I was very well blessed with Barry Brown, Bill Lockett. There's a couple of guys I've gone on the field with that I trust wholeheartedly, and right when I needed it, because it gets hard going by yourself.
Yeah, and there's another researcher. What's his name? He lives in another city, but what's his name? I think his name's Kelly Shaw. I tried connecting with him, but he does his own thing too.
Right.
I mean, and what I didn't know though, and I know you probably experienced it, is like I had no idea how the Bigfoot community like eats its young.
Yeah.
Holy cow.
The only reason there's a Bigfoot Dogman Research Project on YouTube right now or on Facebook is because when I first had my experiences, like you just said, I ran into a lot of that, and I'd circled something because it was blurry, and I didn't know anything about blob squatch. So they said, "Oh, well, if you got to circle it, it's nothing there." I'm like, "But there is. There's something there." I just wanted people who, it's kind of blurry. I wanted people to say, "No, you can't circle it. I see it. There's something there, but you can't circle it." And I was like, "What?"
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
it, they're zealots,
Or people just have nothing better to do. They want to make your day miserable.
Right. In a community where we all have it's a community, like the very definition of the word, the coming together of many different people for one goal. But it's like many different people in a spot or interested in a subject who are quick to being volatile.
I know what you mean. I was like thinking there's like three groups of Bigfoot research, and that's the woo, the doo-doo, and the voodoo. And then woohoo. Because I say woohoo. Maybe I'll say four. But woohoo being us who are Bible believers, who know that there's other things going on. There's another realm, and then there's
yes.
How it goes. Doo-doo being just your guys that are 100% pure Darwinian. There's so much going on. So many opinions. It's so subjective,
Right, and see, it gets so hard, man, because the opinion sometimes outweigh the evidence that the person who's giving the opinion has or could possibly absorb. It goes out into the stratosphere. You're right. But as a Bible believer, as you guys are, it does add an extra perspective, and it honestly has kept me out of some trouble out there in those woods, because you're right. There are other realms and there's other things taking place. Barry Brown's Construction, my boy. Good to see you in chat. But man, I'm super proud of you, son. I'm glad that somebody with your mind, no matter what age they are, is out there.
Thank you.
You're very, very welcome. Would anybody like to ask my nephew over here any questions? Because I know I saw a few there. So during your first encounter, is this your first or only encounter?
Yeah, I wish I had more.
I don't know.
Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, actually, maybe not.
Yeah, when you do see that thing that isn't supposed to exist, and you realize that you're a part of a few people that has, and it's real, it is hard not to keep going back out there.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, it's okay.
We do go out and we found structures. I think that's amazing.
No doubt.
I love this one trail, and we always go back to it. It's this, I think it's Hobbs Wallow, and we keep going back there. My dad just posted a video about it, and it's this structure. It's like a teepee, but not. It's like not straight up and down. It's like tilted to the side, and it's like two big trees next to each other with one big tree, with a bunch of little trees that are from different types of trees, just lined on there to make a little hut. And there's like a back door and a front door. And
wow.
And when we got there, my dad found this other piece of wood, like not like logs or anything. It's like fresh, like he cut.
It was a piece of man-made material.
Yeah.
It looked like it was from a construction site, and it wasn't anything that would be like. It wasn't anything that would be like structurally sound. I mean, it was just a little tiny piece, like I don't know, it was maybe 6 by 6 inches of plywood just sitting up there. I'm like, well, what purpose?
What?
Yeah.
And we tested something. I thought we took it down. Then we take that piece down and put it on the ground, and we came back and it was put back where it was.
Yeah,
it wasn't supposed to.
Wow.
We noticed that we also had extremely. Now I can understand seeing like at a campfire site. People, us humans, we use wood, but I mean it's like you're not going to use a pole that's like 6 or 7 feet long for your campfire. You're going to cut it up.
Right.
Okay, so we find that this place, pieces keep on shifting or being replaced with other pieces, and you find this 7 foot pole. It's burned on one end, and it's like, okay, I'm looking around, seeing, are there any trees around here that have had any like lightning that have struck them? No, none whatsoever. So just like, it's really puzzling trying to figure out trying to walk into Bigfoot's shoes to try and find out why they're using certain pieces like that.
It was very interesting.
It is very interesting. I mean, I don't even have a guess of, especially when you said they use different trees. Some of them aren't even in the area.
Yeah, like there was
Why do you think, Short Walker? Why do you think they use like the different trees from? It makes no sense.
All I can think of is like design.
Well, I mean, I guess that's a good answer, is it? Aesthetic. They got to make it pretty.
We went back there in the snow.
We went this past weekend in the snow.
There's nothing there, which was a little disappointing, but
we were hoping to find some blacks or something.
But we found like a gateway, like a fence type around it now.
Yeah, that's what. You've probably seen people that find what are in the ground or maybe in the structures, the glyphs. People call them glyphs.
Yes,
I'm finding a lot of these resonating with the Paleo-Hebrew alphabet.
Yes, you were talking about that, and that's going to interest a lot of people. But first, before we jump into that, because that's a big can of worms.
Okay.
Short Walker, there's a lot of people wanted me to ask you, and I didn't mean to gleam over your encounter. I hope I didn't. But there's a lot of people that wanted me to ask you, did you see any facial expressions?
Ooh, on what? Me or the Bigfoot?
No, on the Bigfoot.
It was like a serious face, kind of. Like when you're trying to like look at something, but you don't know what it is. Like processing information. Yeah. Like, what is this thing? And I had basically the same look too. It was.
I just can't imagine being a 12-year-old. I think I was somewhere trying to draw comic books or something and seeing one of these things. I'd probably still be locked up in the nut hut.
Oh man.
Did you find that sketch you did?
Yes, I did, as a matter of fact. I'm glad you said that. And Mr. Leighton Shortwalker actually sketched out his encounter. I'm going to share that with you guys. Leighton Longwalker. While I'm looking that up and throwing that up for the good folks, why don't you tell us about these glyphs and what you found through your research?
Well, so the Paleo-Hebrew goes back before it's the original language that the Hebrews or Israelites used before they were captured in Babylon. And they're easy to write with a finger. So they're very discernible. Unlike what you see now from the point of that Babylonian captivity until present day, the Jews still use what they have always used for thousands of years after the Babylonian captivity. But what I'm talking about is before that. So you're looking at an alphabet. I find it fascinating because these glyphs are so easy to memorize, and they're not complicated at all. And they're a picture, and they're also a number value, and then they're also used to make sentences with other words. And usually when you put them together, you can tell a story. But really interesting looking. And I've seen like this past weekend when we were at Hobbs Wallow, there's a corridor and a door, and it was shaped just like Dalit, it almost looks like a pyramid symbol. It's just like an equilateral triangle. And I think the numeric value on it's 4. And then there's another one called Cheth, and It's a circle, and I'm sure you guys have seen these where you've got sometimes it's formations of rocks, or people call it a magic circle. But
Yes.
it's a circle, and it's got a plus sign in the middle. And I think some Indian tribes use that as well. I think it's called like a magic wheel. I've seen. We're all familiar with the X, which means mark. That's part of it. I'm trying to think of another one I saw. It was the lamed, which is it's like a shepherd's staff. I've seen that one before. But if you look at how these words and how these symbols and the words are pronounced, it kind of corresponds with what's the I'm not gonna remember the guy's name. Okay, so Ron Moorhead.
Ron Moorhead, yes.
Sierra Sounds. He had a guy that was a naval linguist that was checking out some of that stuff, and the way the words were pronounced were almost identical to, I think, I wouldn't say identical, but very close to what I thought was like that old Hebrew. And I'd love to get in touch with him and get his thoughts on that, but I've seen at least 4 or 5 of these symbols that are used as far as glyphs that, and they're so linear. It's like, this can't be natural. There's intent behind these things being left in the field, because nature doesn't really have any straight lines like that.
Right. So I mean, and you don't think that it's definitive enough, some of these symbols that you've seen, to where no one can say, oh well, it's like an X inside of a circle. Or, I mean, a plus sign inside of a circle, was it?
Yeah.
I mean, there's plus signs in or every language, right? Is there anything that seems like that's specific to that language, the Hebraic? What did you call it again? The Hebraic.
Paleo.
Yes.
Paleo Hebrew.
Paleo Hebrew. I'm sorry. I'm a dumb Okie. Is there anything specific to that you've seen out there that wouldn't translate into any other language, any other written language?
Man, I haven't really thrown that one against the wall.
You know what I mean? Just playing the Dick Tracy detective there, because I can't figure out for the life of me. But you're onto something, Well,
this whole Hebrew root thing. Another connection to this, to me, was when I was listening to the guys, Kumbo, his channel. They were talking about
who?
Kumbo.
I don't know them guys, but go ahead.
Okay.
Coonbo, you say? Well, I'm sure.
They all talk like that.
Yeah, he's my
guys, hey, I can make fun of Southerners because I'm from Tennessee. I'm a transplant to Utah, so nobody get offended out there. They had talked about the show that I listened to. They had talked about taking an ancient instrument out into the woods, and from the information, the characteristics that I could perceive from that was that they were talking about a shofar, and this having incredible results out in the woods as far as like stirring things up and getting knocks and hearing yells. And man, I would love, like, when the springtime rolls around, if there's enough researchers out there that would like to try to participate in that, maybe we could have a couple people try to go out there and see if they get results from it. I've got one if you want to hear it.
A chauffeur?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. What did Leighton Shortwalker say?
It might break your ears.
Hey, guy, it will be a little loud. And
headphone users.
So it's basically a ram's horn that's been hollowed out.
Hold on. Can we show our screen? Like, show our faces? No? Okay.
You ready? Here goes.
Let me take these off. All right, ready.
Okay. You might want to take your headphones off. Okay, here you go.
And I did hear a lot of people wrote me and told me how there's Baron Kumbo. Which one's the NASA, ex-NASA, whatever?
Yeah, I think it was Kumbo.
Yeah, it was the smart one. There's a smart one and the other guy. it was the smart one that said that chauffeur like opened up portals or something, right?
Yeah. Or it caused ruckus. I had to rehear that show, but I knew he was hitting at it. Now, why he wouldn't come out and say exactly what it was, and I don't know why he was beating around the bush, not just coming out and saying what it was.
Yeah, there's a heavy insinuation behind that. I think. I don't know. Because, well, I won't get into the biblical stuff. We got a whole show that I'm putting together for us to jump on with that. And I actually did want to talk about the shofar and, the horns in Revelations. Every time one of these trumpets was blown, something happened.
It makes me wonder if these the knowledge behind these beings, how far it goes back.
Every time I talk to somebody, brother, it just seems like you can't put a cap on it. I'll put it that way. I wouldn't put a cap on what they might know, because they'll surprise you every time.
No, it's the more you learn, the less you know. It seems like, or it just opens another. You go down another rabbit trail with all
right
out there. And so I can see. I mean, it's really easy to get addicted to Bigfoot, because I would. I mean, without a doubt, I wanted to know as much as I possibly could. And then I want to share with you guys, like 2 weeks after my son saw this, I was listening to Coast, and this guy calls in. His name's Mark. Of course, they don't give their last name, but he calls in. He said, "My name's Mark, and this is back in I think it was around 98, 99, something like that. He was working at Hill Air Force Base, which is here in Layton, and he's out walking on the Bonneville Shoreline Trail, the exact same trail in Layton, same city, and he sees a white Bigfoot." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, thank you, Lord. That's validation for all of this."
Yeah.
Not that I was doubting my son, but I mean, sometimes kids have imaginations.
But imaginations can't tear up the woods, though.
Oh, that's true. That is so true, man. I've never heard something that loud go through trees like that. That was amazing. And then the other researcher, the researcher that I did go out with, I'll just say his name rhymes with Nat Geo.
Nat Geo.
Nat Geo.
Like Nathan Rio? Nathan Rio rhymes with Nat Geo.
Well, you said it.
It was Nathan Rio. Yeah. It'll be all right.
I wouldn't say an experience. I guess I could after you.
Say it again, Short Walker.
Go ahead. I'm not.
You go, Dad.
No, you go.
No, you were starting, and I.
No, I said I will say there's some valuable stuff out there that he pointed out with me, and.
You told me he said
the hike I went on with him. We came across a lot of these little hobbit structures, and I'm sitting there thinking, well, maybe homeless people would build this. But I'm sitting there thinking, what kind of homeless person is going to have these outdoor skills like Bear Grylls, and not have any trash inside? Now, it seems to me if someone's keeping this as a makeshift residence, you're going to have some type of sign of debris and stuff in there, like wrappers or bottles, that kind of thing. And so that was the first leg of the outing I had with him. And then we ended up on these railroad tracks. And then we got to a point where it was like these huge boulders were pushed up, and there was mud caked up around them in the entry. And then, I'm not kidding you, as soon as we went through here, you had this. It was like a jungle gym for an orangutan, but with trees bigger than poles. I mean, full-size timbers that are used for making structures. And then here in Utah, we have these some kind of Russian barb that grows out of the ground. And they had taken leaves and bark off of the trees and covered up these barbs. So you had a complete den, a gymnasium, and then a place to lay down to sleep. I mean, it looked like the set of a Tarzan movie. I mean, it was incredible.
That's awesome. But somebody put something really, really interesting up here. I think it was Matt Squatch, either that or crypto PTSD. But they said homeless people in the woods equals a lot of trash. So I was thinking that as you said it, and I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah. Well,
Like the hobo jungle.
Yeah, I mean, unless you got hobos, taking trains, and here's where you want to get off in the woods. There's a little shelter I built, but I don't think, and I know hobos have their own language too. They have glyphs and things like that they used to use. Yeah, and in fact, speaking of trains and Bigfoot, I was like, my grandmother wasn't doing too good back in 2016, and I was like, is there any type? And this was in Memphis. I was visiting her, and I was, excuse me, I found a sighting on BFRO in Memphis by some trains, and like apparently in this neighborhood there were like all the animals had been abducted and I think taken up to the train tracks, and they had been skinned and left behind. It was just really odd. And it made me wonder, like, do these things like ride trains? I mean, I looked into that, and it just, your mind just.
I've heard a lot of people say they do, man. It's crazy, but.
I mean, if they're that smart.
Well, what do you think about that? What do you think, Leighton? Like, honestly, let's be straight up and down. Do you think that these things that snatch onto a train, and I mean, there's no right or wrong answers. I just want to hear your opinion on that, because that's something that did interest me for a long time.
Man, anything's possible, I think. I wouldn't think it'd be something of regularity, but man, you could sneak on something. I don't know, but
they are observant.
Oh yeah. If anything, it would be an adolescent. I think they're the ones that seem to test the boundaries on a lot of instances.
Right. I don't know, in ant piles down under the earth or this, that, or the other. That means everything except for knowing his family and what was on that art. But that's just me.
No, I agree with you 110%, because I mean, if you look at him like as a father figure, he says it once, he means it.
Yes, sir.
He doesn't stuff. It's serious stuff to me.
Yeah, I've been chastised by Dad a few times for making him say it more than once.
I think Shorty here wants to say something.
Well,
absolutely.
I don't know. I don't know what to say. I just feel a little out for some reason.
No, you're fine. I'm sorry. I'm a blabbermouth, and I'm a blabbermouth too. Ladies and gentlemen, the future host of the Late Show, Mr. Leighton Shortwalker himself. Clear the lane for him.
Okay, you're on.
Wait, what?
That's you, son. You got the floor.
Wait, do I get to ask questions now?
Yeah, you could do whatever you want to.
Ask away.
Ask away.
Watch.
I haven't prepared for this.
Don't be nervous. It's only, let's see, there's only like 600 people watching from all around the world. That's not a lot.
No.
I'm just kidding. Ladies and gentlemen, the future of Sasquatch hunting or investigations. I'm sorry.
No pressure whatsoever.
No pressure.
Well, I was going to talk about a certain somebody, if that's okay.
I don't care what you do. I got your back. Go ahead.
My experience with Nathan Rio.
Well, you can talk about it. Come on, we'll get you a little closer.
Okay.
We're getting a little bit closer to the screen here. Go ahead.
Basically, there was this like group thing about Bigfoot. What was
a retreat.
A retreat, yeah. And my dad was invited, and he invited me to go along with it because why not? So as we were there, I'm not gonna say other people's names in there, but I'm just. But
well, yeah,
Basically, I just felt like, I mean, my dad cared for me when he was out there for me, but almost everybody didn't really. I can't really say that, but I can at the same time. They didn't really care for me. I felt like I was just there and I wasn't involved and stuff. Yeah. So.
That's terrible.
And the next one we went to, which was actually a little, like, not that long ago, right? When was it?
When was that? October? The beginning of October of 2017. Yeah, it wasn't too long ago.
Basically, Rio was being, I don't know, like, I don't want to say that, but.
Hey, there's a lot of muttering around. This is show business, kid. Go ahead. I mean, Uncle D's got your back. Speak your mind.
All right. Basically, he was kind of being like, I guess you would say like
a jerk.
What would you call like?
This is your.
Yeah.
He's like dismissive.
I wasn't important. Like he says all these things, but he doesn't really mean it. I know for a fact he doesn't really mean it because he didn't care. Like if I talked to him or asked him questions, he wouldn't answer. He'd walk away or.
What?
You weren't worth his time?
I wasn't worth his time.
Really?
Same as kind of I could tell. He didn't. It was more about himself more than anybody else at that retreat.
Okay, the cat's out of the bag.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what. I can't do anything for Mr. Rio. I'm sorry that happened to you, son, but
no, it's okay.
It's not okay. It's really not. But this is what I can do for you. If you and your dad, because I know he's going to come down here eventually, I will take you to an area that I've not talked about and that I've not shown. Just us three, and it'll be your day.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. I'd love to get back down there.
It'll be my honor, and that's never okay. Especially you having a young mind and being interested in this subject. That's I know that you're a tough kid and everything, but you shouldn't have had to deal with that, and I'm sorry that you did.
Yeah.
Well, we all learn what we we go through tough times, we get stronger, So that's that's kind of like a litmus test for me. Like if you're not going to give my kid much attention, what kind of person are you? I mean, especially when you have a kid there being lifeblood. I mean, having him being interested in Bigfoot. I mean, this is the future we're talking about.
Right. And, especially him being so prominent out there. What I mean? Like more people know who he is than me. So not that means anything, but it's still like if you're going to be out there and be in the public and you have a chance to have a young person there who's interested in this field with these weird anomalous creatures out there, you have them right next to you. Why not take an interest? Why did the kid have to ask anything? He should be approaching him saying, hey, look, this is what this means. But like I said, I can't do anything for that. But what I can make you a solemn promise that when you come to Oklahoma, Oklahoma's favorite son will open the gates wide open to anywhere you want to go on a map. Well, as long as it's within Oklahoma. I mean, Texas and Kansas and Arkansas. Not the president or anything, but.
Man, I'd love to see that Red River area. I've heard so much about that river and stories about people saying like, last year my cousin had that Celtic festival, and I think he's having it down there again in Texas. But I'm like, what happened to the field here, man? He's like, the hogs, man. I'm like, you're kidding me. I mean, it was like a nice green field, and it was like someone took a shovel and just like raked over everything. I had no idea how rampant the pigs are down there, man. I had no idea. I'm sure, is it that way in Oklahoma too?
Yeah. North Texas is just well, they call it Texoma.
Okay.
South Texas kind of bleeds into, I'm sorry, Southern Oklahoma bleeds into North Texas, and it's the same type of terrain. Um, yeah, it's home, you know, but I can take you anywhere on the Red River you want to go.
Well, that's
And
cool.
that's where my primary area is. But there's a place that Barry Brown hasn't even gone to with me, and that's my partner out in the field. You know, I'm Gilligan and he's the skipper.
Cool.
That's a
That's
little bit
great.
of Tom Short Walker, but man, like I said, gentlemen, Leighton Short Walker, your encounter and the way you took it is an inspiration to me. And honestly, no joke. I've seen a lot since I've started this, but at that age, I wouldn't have been able to handle it. That's no joke.
Thank you again.
Thank you, sir. And if
Thank
you're,
you so much.
thank y'all. I mean, the honor is absolutely mine, folks. If you want to go down there in the description, they have a link to their channel. Go check their further investigations out after their first sighting, which was had by Mr. Shortwalker. And would you guys be interested in coming back for a future roundtable, researchers roundtable, possibly?
Love it, man. Love it.
Open invitation, gentlemen. And Leighton's a good friend of mine. I talk to him on a daily basis. My brother in the faith, and you've done a fantastic job. You have a very well mannered, well spoken young man.
Man, you made my day. Thank you so much.
Absolutely, thank y'all, folks. I suggest you jump down there. I've watched a lot of their videos, and it only gets better. Plus, you get to hear Shortwalker talking a lot of them. He's smarter than me, so I think I might just give him a show. No, I'm not paying him a compliment. He really is. I love you guys.
Hey, love you too, brother.
Everybody in the chat, thank you for joining us. If you want to stick around for a little bit, I think Tate and I might jump on a little bit later. But this is DDoS for the. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Shortwalker.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Would you? Oh, I'll let you have the final word, Leighton Shortwalker. What would you like to tell the people out there?
Stay confident.
Our little
And
our little daughter just came over here, so she's trying to give me suggestions.
I heard her over there whispering.
Stay confident. Do what you want to do, but also keep God in your head all the time.
Amen.
Put him first.
Put him first, right?
Yes.
Outstanding. That's awesome. Folks, this has been the Late Show. You guys have been awesome. I'm DDoS, and we'll see you tomorrow. Well, actually, we may see you here in a little while. Who knows? Thank you, gentlemen, again.
Thank you.
Yeah. It's a pleasure.